Hello, everyone. It's Friday once again. So you know what that means. It's time for another edition of Artisan Weekly. So we're on edition 98 now. It's been a really interesting week. Done plenty of reading this week. We've also had Laravel Live Denmark, of course. So if you were at that event, it looks like it was another great one. So yeah, let's dig into this week's top 10. So, in first place, we've got this post over on the Laravel blog. This one's by Aaron Francis. And he's talking about the new read-through file system that has been implemented in Laravel. So you might have that, you're moving from S3 to, R2, for instance, or something like that. You're moving storage systems. And you know how it goes. You're halfway through doing it. You haven't copied all the old files across. You've got to deploy the code. Things happen. So this new read-through file system allows you to have a fallback. So you want all your new uploads to go to your new location. So like say for instance you move into S3, they want to upload to S3, but your fallback then allows you to read from the local file system, for instance, on the server. So this is a really great little addition to the framework, and I can already see like it has a ton of potential and uses. So yeah, that's another really nice one for the team. And then next up, we've got a post by myself. So this is Pest's 5-tier engine. So of course, when Nuno announced this, we, as a team, we were really interested in looking at the numbers. So I put them together. I picked a test suite from an in-house tool that we built, and ran it beforehand, and then applied, the things that Nuno said, and run it again. Yeah, it was really interesting. There's some things there that we had to do on the pipeline and things like that to get the shared file to make it work. But I must admit, the speed improvements are amazing. It really did speed things up for us. So it's definitely worth looking at if you move into Pest 5 and you're able to do that, is to get this running, get tier going. Like I said, now it runs, if you don't make any changes, obviously it runs super fast, but if you make a single change to something, it picks the files that needs to retest and runs them. So yeah, it's a really nice feature that he added to Pest 5. And then next up, we've got a post here by Mohammed from Laravel. So talking about Filament here and panels. Now, obviously, you're working in Filament. You typically build an admin panel that, as an admin team you use, but then you might need to add a customer-facing panel. So he goes about showing you how to do that, how to build the secondary panel, how to do like the different authentication, because obviously you don't want the customer being able to log into the admin panel and see the the potential admin things. So yeah, it's a really nice walkthrough on how to do that. So if you are in the situation where you've been building something in Filament that's all admin related and now you need to add a customer centric section to it, this is a great post to check out. Next up then, we've got Sebastian Bergman. Now this one, he talks about he was recently at FrostCon. He was on the PHP Foundation booth for the weekend, and he was talking about how he was expecting to get questions, about like things that are going on in PHP. When's this function coming? When's that coming? But he said actually most of the discussion that he had was around, who owns PHP now? Now that we've got this PHP Foundation, who decides on things? How is it going to be maintained? What are going to happen in the future if X and Y happens? Who's kind of in charge? So he kind of goes through his thinking on this. It's quite interesting. It's not what he expected. And he's written another post as well to go alongside this, which is quite a good one as well. Next up then, we've got talk about PHP Foundation. So Matt Stauffer has recently joined, and he's written a post on how to contribute to PHP. Now, people always ask, how can I do that? They think it's overly, they think it's complicated. How do they do that? They might not know how to do it. Well, Matt breaks it down here on ways you can help. So it's not just about writing code. You can test pre-releases, report bugs, and so that people can, those people who are maintaining PHP are able to fix those bugs. So there's more than just writing code. There's a lot of things you can do to help the foundation. Next up then, this tweet by Sadiq Ali. You've written a bit of code, you've written a job, runs perfectly on staging and local. You push it to production, and the first time it runs, bang, dies. Because you're staging and local database doesn't have the same amount of data as production. So he talks about, like, this happening, like memory limit exhaustions, and how to use different Eloquent methods to help this. Things like cursor, instead of using all, lazy, chunk by ID, all these different methods that you can use, and how they impacted the memory footprint, but also the speed. So yes, it's a nice one to kind of nice short one to understand more about the things you can do in this situation. Next up, then, another one by Mohammed. He's been knocking them out lately. So he talks here about job batching with concurrency. So these are two things in Laravel that you have. And he walks you through using like the concurrency facade, as he says there, with job batching. Not something that I've ever done in the past, but if been wondering how to do it, this is a really nice walkthrough on how to go about doing that. Next up, then, we've got this post by CodeGenie. So they've built a multi-step form package that you can install. Now, this is quite cool because you how many times have you had to build a multi-step form and handle validation, submission, all this stuff? Well, there's a package now for you to do this, and it looks like a simple setup. You kind of Livewire component, name the fields, the validation, the steps where they're in, etc., and then kind of walks you through how to use it, how to save the data. So yeah, if you're looking to build a multi-step form in the future, might be a package that's worth checking out. Next up, then, we've got the No Compromises podcast. So Joel and Aaron, they talk about caching in this one. So as the kind of strap size, someone says that your app is slow and you need caching. Well, what kind of caching? There's so many different types of caching. You just don't want to reach straight for the cache facade in Laravel. You've got, the different types of things like edge caching via, Cloudflare. There's lots of different ways you can do this. And they both talk through the different approaches you can take. So if you're wondering about different caching strategies, this is a good one to check out. And then finally, I suppose we've seen before in the past a similar kind of thing, n+1 problems, but it's Christos has done a really nice explanation here of what goes on, kind of explains what happens. So if you've heard the term n+1, you're new to Laravel, you've heard it, you don't quite understand what it is, this is a really nice post to just read and understand more about it, how you can fix it, like using, things like eager loading. When you have to do count, you have to include count. How can you fix that problem? So yeah, it's just a nice little walkthrough on describing the problem and explaining it and showing some solutions to that. So if you're new to Laravel, this is a nice little post to read. So obviously that's it for this week. Hopefully there was something in there that caught your eye, and if it did, do let the authors know, obviously. And if you want to read more, head over to artisanweekly.com. We've got all the previous editions, and so on the website there's usually more than 10 links, because I read a lot more than that, but we only feature the top 10 here. And don't forget to like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if you'd like to get this in your inbox every Friday morning, sign up to our newsletter. Hopefully, like I said, there was something you enjoyed there. And if so, hopefully I'll get to see you again next week.